Let's bring in Alexey Muraviev, who is an associate professor of national security and strategic studies over at Curtin University. He joins us from Perth in Australia. Alexey, good to have you on the show. The last note that Rahul was making is that Russia does not fully control the four territories that it annexed. It actually never fully controlled these territories even before this annexation of this announcement of annexation. It has been losing territory since. What do you think this means for the Kremlin?
Well, I would probably argue that pro-Russian forces had full control of the Luhansk region, but as the report just suggested, there's been some evidence to suggest that the Ukrainians are now entering the administrative boundaries of the Luhansk region. As far as the Donetsk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia regions, yes, I fully agree. They haven't been in full control. What does it mean? Look, I mean, we need to separate the two issues. One is the political effect, and another one is the military effect. Politically, it's a massive slap for Vladimir Putin and his government because even in the rise of the Russians, they now look at it as the loss of their own territory. I mean, the liberation of Liman by the Ukrainian forces has been viewed by the Russians as the loss of the Russian city for the first time since World War II. So in terms of information war, in terms of propaganda war, in terms of psychological impact, the Ukrainians continue to deliver strategic blows. But militarily, we need to be mindful of not overestimating the successes of the Ukrainian military. Yes, they are retaking ground, but certainly in the scope of large-scale offensive and defensive operations, we're still talking about tactical successes because, for example, the battle for Liman, which is strategically important but yet small settlement, lasted for about a couple of weeks. So if anything, we shouldn't be really talking about swift offenses yet. At the same time, the Ukrainians continue to hold strategic initiative, and the Russians certainly on the defensive. And certainly in the light of all the fanfare and the announcements surrounding the annexation of additional 4 regions, Putin will now have to answer hard questions. Can he actually deliver the promise of protecting and defending the newly acquired territories, as well as people whom he now claimed to be his citizens?
Okay, I mean, all right. When you look at these 4 regions, if the momentum is to start to gain, if the Russian forces start to put on these sweeping offensive, this is going to put President Putin and the Russian forces in a conundrum because at this proclamation of annexation ceremony last Friday, we all knew that President Putin would come out and say, look, this is Russian territory. We're going to defend it by all means necessary. There's a lot of question marks here. I mean, it's not clearly defined, the borders or the type of force that President Putin could use. Do you think there is still a nuclear possibility here?
Well, I wouldn't be talking about nuclear possibility as yet, but Putin clearly is in a very delicate and vulnerable position because clearly the Russians don't have sufficient forces on the ground right this moment to launch, leave alone counteroffensive, to launch even effective defense. They simply outnumbered and at certain places outgunned. So Putin has 2 options. One is launch unconditional, unrestrained aerial and missile attacks on Ukraine with an attempt to break down the psychological spirit of the Ukrainian defenders, as well as force the Zelensky government to rethink its counteroffensive, or start throwing the reservists that were just drafted under mobilization. And it's no partial mobilization in Russia, it's a full-scale mobilization into battle. And obviously, at this point in time, they would be underprepared, under-equipped, not ready for combat battle. As a result, Russia will continue to sustain even heavier losses. So, either the Russians, and I think the Russians certainly media and the Kremlin is preparing the Russian kind of opinion to simply say, look, this is going to be a couple of tough months for us. We'll probably be losing more ground because before reinforcements will be ready and before we'll start regaining the territory. But again, it's all well said than done. And if Russia will continue to lose territory and the public opinion will continue to to show outrage about this. Putin maybe forced to make hard decisions, including entertaining the nuclear option.
Okay, Alexey Muraviev, thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour.